The CEO fired me only because I caught his mistake, but he had no idea that I had the evidence that could destroy his entire plan. Why did you question this? My CEO said those words when I simply pointed out a mistake that could have put the company's entire future at risk. A few days later, I was told that my performance no longer matched the company's needs, and I was quietly pushed toward the exit. But they had no idea that I had preserved the evidence that could prove the problem was never my ability, but their own wrong decision. When I look back at that time now, I don't feel anger. Maybe because time changes the way we see things. Some moments that feel like disasters when they happen later become the exact moments that reveal our true strength. Sometimes at 3 a.m. I wake up in my quiet suburban home. The street lights shine through the windows, creating soft lines across the floor. The refrigerator hums quietly in the kitchen and a late-night TV show plays in the background, something I can hear but never really watch. I hold a cup of coffee in my hands, usually already cold, and I think, it is strange how someone can give years of their life to a place and then one day a few words can make them feel completely unnecessary. There were many nights when I couldn't sleep. I thought about sleeping pills, even Ambien, just hoping the noise in my mind would become quiet for a while. But eventually I realized I didn't need sleep as much as I needed acceptance. I needed to understand what had happened and why. I had spent nearly 15 years at that company. When I first joined, it was a small organization with only a few employees, limited resources, and a dream everyone believed in. I never saw it as just a job. I made it a part of my life. I remember the nights when the office lights stayed on until morning, when everyone else had already gone home and I sat alone finishing reports. I remember the days when I changed my personal plans to save important clients. I remember making decisions that affected the entire company. But that is the quiet truth about success. People often notice the results, but they rarely see the invisible work behind them. My life was not only about the office. I was a mother, a wife, and an ordinary American woman. I considered Sunday Costco trips a family tradition. I smiled through Thanksgiving dinners even when I was exhausted inside. I attended PTA meetings trying to be the perfect mom, and sometimes while checking my 401k and retirement plans, I wondered if we were so busy preparing for the future that we forgot to experience the present. My CEO Michael valued me in the beginning. He knew how many problems I had solved during the company's difficult years. He used to say, "You are the person who sees problems before they happen." But power can change people. New investors arrived, new leadership came in, and slowly people who asked difficult questions started being seen as obstacles. Then that day came. It was an important meeting at the Seattle office. Rain was falling outside, city lights reflected against the glass building, and inside the conference room, everyone was looking at their screens with Starbucks cups sitting on the table. Michael was presenting a major project. It was supposed to be one of the company's biggest achievements, but when I reviewed the numbers, something felt wrong. Some calculations didn't add up. Some risks were being ignored. I quietly looked through my notes and finally said, "I think we need to review this section again because if this data is incorrect, it could create serious problems for the company." The room went silent. Michael looked at me. "Why do you always look for problems?" he asked. I calmly replied, "Because my job is not to create problems. My job is to prevent them." But I could tell he didn't like that answer. A few days later, I was called into another meeting. This time the atmosphere was different. Michael said, "We feel your approach no longer matches the direction the company wants to go." I stayed quiet. Then he said the words I still remember. "Maybe you don't understand the speed at which this company wants to move forward anymore." At that moment I understood. This was never only about my work. It was about the fact that I had noticed something they wanted to ignore. I was let go. I didn't argue. I didn't create a scene. I packed my belongings and quietly walked out of the office. They thought I had lost. But there was something they didn't know. I had evidence. For months I had preserved every record related to that project. Original reports, emails, approvals, and messages where the risks had been clearly mentioned. I didn't keep them to hurt anyone. I kept them because I knew sometimes memories are not enough to prove the truth. A few weeks later, the problem I had warned about became reality. The project started failing. Investors demanded answers. The board wanted explanations. Suddenly, everyone realized that the risk they ignored was real. Then they contacted me. I found myself sitting in the same conference room again. The same people. The same table. but the atmosphere was completely different. I placed my evidence in front of them. Every document, every record, every detail revealed the truth. Michael was silent. The board members looked at me. I didn't embarrass anyone. I didn't blame anyone. Because my goal was never revenge. My goal was simply to put the truth back where it belonged. That day I learned something important. The strongest answers are not always the loudest ones. Sometimes patience, preparation, and waiting for the right moment become the most powerful response. A few months later, I left the company, but this time it wasn't because someone decided my future for me. It was my choice. I started a new chapter of my life in a place where asking questions was seen as responsibility, not weakness. When I look back now, I don't feel happy that they faced difficulties. I feel peace because I never lost myself. My revenge was silence, my preparation, and my belief that the truth can be hidden for a while, but it can never disappear forever. Morning light was spreading outside, the coffee machine was making its familiar sound, and for the first time in years, I felt truly free. Because in the end, the greatest success is not making people recognize your strength. The greatest success is making sure you never forget it yourself. Thank you for staying with this story until the end. If you enjoyed this journey and found its message inspiring, please support us by giving it a like and subscribing to the channel for more powerful stories. Your support means a lot to us and we truly appreciate you being part of our community.